Let's go ahead and wrap up your conversations if you can, please. You've got 30 seconds. And then we'll start with card number 3, number 4, and then number 9 is kind of on deck. Card 3, 4, and 9. You should have had a number, and then that's how we'll go on the public comment. And you're farther back than last night's group, so we'll move up closer to you. Number 3, there you go. How you doing, sir?
Thank you. My name is Zach Schultz. I'm an attorney here in town. I was born and raised, educated in Garden City. I just have a couple of comments. You know, in, I think it was 1999, the school district proposed a bond to build a second high school. And the community said, no, we don't want 2 high schools. We want to have 1 high school. And that bond was voted down. And then 8, 9 years later, the school board listened to the community and said, let's build 1 big new high school, and here we are standing in it. Our community will invest in our schools and our kids when the school board listens to what the community wants. And this process has been pretty clear that closing schools is not what the community wants. We have a pretty common saying in our business that people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And although I am kind of torn on the middle school proposal, I think being within 98, 99% in 4 years of the capacity at a facility that required us to come build this high school because there was no land to expand, there was no expansion opportunities, is a bad policy. It's a failure of planning. And I think that the school board should listen to the community and what they're saying, and that our community will invest in our schools.
Number 4, number 9, and then number 17, please. Number 4, head this way.
I apologize for my voice, I'm losing it, but I'm trying to get through it. Good evening, my name is Trevor Hands. First of all, thanks to RSP, the board, and the committee for your diligent work on this study. This is a hard topic and something that at the end of the day, unfortunately won't make everyone happy, and I don't envy the position that you are in, so thank you. I was a class of 98 graduate of Garden City High School, and after leaving my hometown for a little over a decade, returned back home, met my wife Jenny, and our son is current kindergartner at Jenny Barker Elementary. I myself was a graduate of Plymouth Elementary and have seen the impact country schools have had. That being said though, through the study, it's been shown that we can be much more fiscally responsible in our district. I don't disagree with this, and of course have my own privilege and bias that I need to put aside, but I believe looking at a broader scope beyond my own family and my neighborhood, and I would want something that ultimately would prove equitable across all demographics and would have, to put my own feelings aside, if closing schools is the best way forward. But that's where I'm torn. Is it the best way forward? I do support the K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12 transitions, but from what I've heard from the committee and listening in on this past board meeting, there's been a lot of discrepancies in the data, and the consensus I've heard is that the committee and the board does not have all the data needed to make the best informed decisions, and was blindsided, I think was the word that was used, thinking they were doing the boundary study to suddenly shutting down 4 schools. I take a look at our retail and industrial growth happening, much thanks to the city and the economic development, and I fear that if we close all 4 at once, we're only going to be opening them back up again down the road. Maybe not within the next 5 years, but I was in high school and my sister was sent to the new 5th and 6th grade centers built to handle our growth. I was just a teenager, but I thought that was a rather short-sighted decision and didn't plan for that future growth. I have the same feelings about this. If we must close schools down, which we might, other schools across Kansas are having to do the same, I would suggest a more stair-stepped approach than ripping the Band-Aid off and closing the door at the same time. Lastly, the amount of transitions are concerning. Children thrive on routine, and for a child's proper development, we need to strive to minimize being bounced around as much as possible. I don't know how that looks rolled out to incoming students while grandfathering current students in our current situation, but that is another concern. So between that and our city's growth and with the discrepancies and lack of information, to make the best informed decisions, I don't approve the study as presented tonight. Thank you.
Number 9, head this way, please. Then 17, 18 will be after that.
Thank you. Good. Okay, so I definitely didn't write anything in advance, which is not great for me, but I wanted to make sure, and I heard all of the input so that I was, kind of responding to what is actually being said and not just, my thoughts and things. So I'm Jeanette Turpin. I worked for the district for 8 years at high school. And have been in education and early childhood education and other realms. And I want to say, well, first of all, thank you so much. I know I've been involved in these things. I know how much work goes into this, how many people have to be contacted, how public you are, how much scrutiny you face. So I really appreciate that. And the board always having to put yourselves out there. That's really cool that you guys are willing to do that. And I know it's hard on you guys and your families. So I want to say, first of all, moving to K-5, 6, 8, 9, 12 is developmentally appropriate. So this is great. This is a great move. These are the cutoffs that happen in development, brain development. This makes sense. And our Garfield people being younger, we could have our elementary with the early childhood. This is good. This move is really good. I'm very concerned with us getting a study and then finding out that some of the things that are very unique to our community weren't included in the study to begin with. That there wasn't a lot of communication with the city and the economic development and the county. And that now that that's been brought to their attention, I appreciate that they've had the conversations, but I didn't see any of that reflected tonight. I just saw it acknowledged that they come at it from a different perspective. Unfortunately, the perspective that I feel like that they're coming at it from is a general perspective, and we know that our community has very specific demographics, very specific trends, and we know that we've been really successful in predicting what's going to happen here, except for things like COVID, right, where you can't predict it. And we're coming out of COVID, and this is all potentially really good. It's good thoughts, and however the school district wants to handle it is wonderful. I just want to make sure they have the best, most accurate data for our region, not for what is good generally for people, even generally in Kansas, we need for our region. And then also, I just want to say, that if you guys have gone through some of the leadership stuff, this feels like it's a technical change, like a what can we do real quick? How can we move buildings, move money, and make that technical change real quick to address something that's present, as opposed to an adaptive change. What are we seeing that's coming, not just in 5 years? What are we seeing? What are our goals? What do we want to have? Do we want to just focus on this one thing, or do we want to make sure that we have elementary schools that are small enough size that their culture is good for elementary students, or do we want to have 500 kids in an elementary school? And there's research to back this stuff up. I just think we can wait. We don't need to do this right now. This is a big change, and we don't need to do anything right now. We can look into it.
Number 17, then 18, then 19, please.
Hello, my name is Ashley Schultz, and I am the mother of 3 boys who will be affected by these potential concepts that we reviewed tonight. I took the opportunity this week to go to the board meeting on Monday night, and I sat back and I listened to the parents, teachers, and grandparents speak on this issue. I attended the community forum here last night, and I watched faculty members, mothers, fathers, and other members from our community come together and jot down their concerns and questions. I've spoken to random strangers at our local coffee shop. I've chatted with angry moms at the playground, and I have stood at the back of the church on Sunday discussing this boundary study with others. And I have not yet come across a single person that is in favor of this. I have been present this week. I wrote a letter to our board members. I heard every single comment read during the public comment period at the board meeting, and I listened intently in this very same room last night to every single parent that had something to say. So instead of standing here tonight and telling you all the reasons why I think this proposed concept will not work, because I already know that you have heard them all, I'm going to try a different approach. I'm going to ask you guys to step back, pump the brakes, and don't move forward with this. Not a single person that I have listened to regarding this hybrid concept has been in favor of it. Let that sit in for a minute. Not a single person. I think that speaks volumes. Boundaries do need to be reconfigured as we grow, but we do not need to close elementary schools and disrupt half of the elementary kids in our district to do that. I believe that our board, our administration, and our community can all come together and come up with a better proposal. I'm asking you to please go back to the drawing board and find a better approach, one that works for our community. Thank you.
Number 18, then 19, and then number 20.
Hi everybody, my name is Lila Mumgard and I am born from Satana, Kansas, but moved here right away after, and I've been raised in Garden City, moved away, came back, and I definitely can go into all the reasons why we shouldn't do this, why, as Ashley said, pump the brakes to this. But after this whole week and reading through everything and hearing from others that have spoken to board members, I can truly say that I have never been so proud to be from Finney County, to be from Garden City, because we have become so united about this. Like Ashley said, not one person is for this, and it is truly humbling to know that as a town, we've all come together to see how this is going to impact our kids so much, and I'm just so proud to be part of Garden City. I like I said, go into the traffic issues and congestions that this will cause, how we have heavy agriculture ties and backgrounds, tons of employees and families living in rural Finney County that additional travel would be a huge burden to. The financial aspect to it, nobody's seen any financials behind it. And I know that the board will do everything in their power to get all of this data that is not being represented properly. COVID was not included in any of the formulas. I highly encourage the board to get the research behind the data that they are presenting, the research behind the formula that has been created. I'm not a math person, and that all looks like just alphabet thrown together, but the research behind it, there's got to be evidence behind whatever formula they've created. So I just highly encourage them to get that. I am going to be vulnerable and say that I just feel like a lot of us are being misled with this information. So I have so much faith in our board, because we voted them for a reason, and I am so excited to see how they will be able to overcome this. And that's all I got.
Number 19, please, then 20, then 21.
Good evening, I'm Danica Kitch. I've been part of the district for 17 years, and did not plan on staying in Garden City. When I moved into town, wasn't from here, wasn't from the state of Kansas, but won my heart. I have been at Georgia Matthews for about 7 years now, and took on a program, a pretty difficult program there. And it's not about the building. We have never been attached to the building. But we are attached to the culture that we have created in a building at Georgia Matthews, and it comes from the head secretary all the way down to the custodian. And that takes time and it takes effort. And I just want to know if anybody actually truly understands how much time and effort in the professional development that goes into that to create the culture that you need to have a program run as smoothly as the program has run this year. It's taken endless amounts of work hours of professional development. I can't even tell you guys how much time and effort that not just myself, but all of my colleagues have put into this so that we could create a culture that needed to happen so that we could work with our parents. So that when our parents called and said, this has happened to my kid today, we could explain to them, okay, yes, that's because this is what's going on. So that our parents then understood where the behavior was coming from. I would just like to know if there would be a possibility to truly see the breakdown to how much it would cost to bring our buildings back up to what we need to bring them up to versus the cost that it would create to closing them down and making the other buildings suitable. I just want to see the breakdown.
Number 20, 21, and 22 after that, please.
Hi. I would be way more happy if we're all a bunch of fourth graders right now. But my name is Kim Brewer. I've taught here for 35 years, and I retired 3 years ago. I taught at Buffalo Jones. I taught at Friend. I've taught at VO. I've taught at Oakland and Deerfield, and I ended my career at Plymouth. And I think this is nuts. We've been through closings of schools, but never, ever 4 at one time. Never 4 schools at a time. The amount of children this is going to affect is ridiculous. When we close schools like Friend, we're talking maybe 60 kids that had to come back to town. Not 50% of our school population. Why have we been neglecting maintenance on these buildings? Plymouth's carpet is paid for. They paid for it in January, but we're still talking about how we need to carpet Plymouth. We bought a freezer for $25,000. Had no idea that cost that much. For Gertrude Walker, also just a few months ago. I think a better thing is, everyone else who's spoken before me said some really great things, and why are we not looking at why kids are leaving rather than that they just are? My son went to Plymouth, and I used to live in the Plymouth community, and I did want to bring this up because it was a huge issue for my family. How much time do you think it would take to get a kid from Abe Hubert Junior High as a 7th grader to 6210 East Parallel Road? That would be 1.5 hours on the bus, one way. Are you going to do that with kindergartners? You really want them on the bus for 3 hours of their day? I would hope not. So, thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Number 21, then 22, and then 23, please. Card number 21. How about card 22? Card 22. Come in.
Hi, my name is Courtney Branham. I moved out here for a teaching job as one of those crazy Michigan teachers, right? I taught in the district, I've taught in Leota, I've taught in Tribune. I've seen the impact that changes can make on children. I have a daughter who has gone from one of our private schools back into our public schools. Again, I can see the change in her. That's why I wanted and advocated for her to come to these schools. That's why I want my kids coming to these schools. What scares me is the lack of thought behind these decisions. We have middle schoolers. I've taught middle school. They have choice right now. They have options in their activities and the things that they get to do, and moving to one middle school is going to limit that. How many times are we going to take those choices and opportunities away from them? It's a greater impact, and the options that we have are more than what we are being presented today. The other thing is my daughter right now is currently on the bus for an hour every day. Lima lets out at 3:50, and I do not pick her up from the bus stop until 4:50, and that's just where we live right now. So those changes are going to greatly impact her day, and we can do better. We really can. We are already on the right path by looking into these options. There are other things we can do. We need to consider class size. If financial options are what we're really concerned about, think about the 4-day school week. Because Tribune saved thousands of dollars by cutting their electric costs, by cutting their water, by removing 1 day and adding on minutes to the other days throughout the school year. That also gives teachers options for making appointments. That cuts back on the need for substitutes. There are more options than what we have looked into. We can do it.
David Bragger, number 23, please.
Hello. I also would be more at ease if you were all fourth graders. So, good evening. My name is David Brager, and I am a fourth grade teacher at Gertrude Walker Elementary. I've been teaching at Gertrude Walker for 9 years now. We are a small school, and we consider the staff, students, and parents to be family. In every scenario presented so far, my building is proposed to be closed. And I am here tonight to advocate for our families. Much has been said lately about data, student scores, and student well-being. I agree with much of what has been said and what I have heard here tonight. USD 457 has great schools and excellent teachers, and I am proud to work here. However, tonight, I am here to implore you all that we need to do a better job of reaching out to all members of the community and seek out their input. I can only personally speak about what I have seen. Our parents and families received a notice on Remind, and this meeting was also posted on our school's Facebook page. Notes home were not translated and sent home to any of our families. Tonight, I am here to advocate for the single mother who doesn't have a cell phone and did not receive a message from Remind about this event. How will we reach her? I am here to advocate for the families who work 2 or 3 jobs to put food on the table for their children and can't be here tonight. How will we make sure to seek out all of their opinions? I'm here tonight to speak for the families who can't afford internet and therefore cannot fill out this survey. How will we seek their opinions? I am here tonight for all the Gertrude Walker families who speak a multitude of languages. This survey seems to only be in English and Spanish. How will we make sure their voices are heard and their concerns valued? What is being proposed from the boundary study and potential school closures is a big deal for the families in our community. Some families are better equipped to handle this than others. We need to make sure that all families from all walks of life are seen, heard, and valued before any decision is made. As a community and a district, I know we can do better. Let's do better. Thank you for your time.
Yvette Peck, number 24. After that will be card 29 and 34.
Good evening. I do apologize if I repeat myself up here. I grew up going to Jenny Barker as a child, and now my children attend Georgia Matthews. From a parent's perspective, I have many questions and concerns due to what seems like a very rushed plan to move students to new schools and close their present ones. While studying the data that was presented to us by a company who has not lived a day in their life in Garden City, I feel that the data introduced to the public is skewed. The following are some questions I would like to be addressed to the public and parents of the students who will be highly affected if this plan moves forward. If we close schools down, what will happen to the special education classrooms? I myself have 3 children who receive services from said classrooms. These classrooms are what have helped my special needs children thrive as well as many other students in their classrooms. Also, have the children who are on IEP and other special education programs throughout the schools affected been considered on how this will affect them? As you know, all children thrive on routine. This is not only gonna disrupt my children's routine, but basically all of the district. It is stated that everyone would keep their jobs. That clearly sounds unreasonable and untrue. An example is, how are all the math teachers from the affected schools be integrated into the new schools with the same job? That is basically stating that most of the teachers having to do the transition into a new school will not be teaching something that they are originally teaching, but they will have to be demoted to possibly something they don't enjoy, which then brings the issue of how many teachers are you going to deal with leaving after a certain amount of time, and then you will run into a shortage of teachers, which is already a problem itself. As for the rest of the staff, will they be guaranteed their job for the first, second year until transition is fully placed, and then after that be let go? Have you considered how many families will be affected just this outcome alone? How will you ensure you are getting input from the staff of all the schools affected, including those who may not be able to attend these meetings or discussions? The data presented shows there is a decrease in enrollment. In my opinion, it's skewed data, and it's apparent that the staff in these affected schools have not given their input, because I have been told, just like other parents I know, that if I don't enroll my kids soon, there's a high possibility that there may not be room for them in that certain school. I understand that as last week, Spanish information was shared. Many of these students' parents who will be affected are Spanish speaking. Not only Spanish speaking, there's a diverse language in Garden City. If there is a plan to support students who may fallen behind during the school closures, is there a plan? How is it expected for teachers to keep up with more students when other kids in their current classes are already academically falling behind? This will only cause a worse trickle effect on the other students and less time for teachers to spend with those who need extra help already. Speaking for myself, as other parents, I personally know we only want to help the school develop successful plans to ensure students and staff are being accommodated properly. How are you possibly ensuring that you are getting input from those that are affected if some of the parents whose first language is not English and are unaware of these plans? And just one last thing I wanted to add. The census that are used in this data is very inaccurate due to undocumented people that we have in Garden who are scared to report themselves. So that's all I have to say.
Stacy Aller, card number 29, please.
Hi, first I want to talk as a parent. When my children were young, my son, my youngest now, he's in college, but When he started school, we were in the Florence Wilson School District, and he was completely overwhelmed. His anxiety was through the roof. And we would cry every morning. We would have struggles because it was just too much for him. So we transferred him out to Jenny Barker. At Jenny Barker, he thrived. And I know that I am not the only parent who has or had a child who has anxiety, that these larger schools are just going to be completely overwhelming for them. So that's my parent side. Now I'm going to speak to you as a teacher. I currently am a teacher at Plymouth Elementary School. And I think it's important to know that when I applied for a teaching position, I was offered 8 different positions at 8 different schools. I live within walking distance of 2 of those schools. However, I chose Plymouth. There's a reason I chose Plymouth. Like I just shared, my kids went to Jenny Barker, a country school, and I know what those smaller schools, those smaller, more intimate settings have to offer our children. And when I told my daughter the positions I had been offered, her immediate response was, well, you chose Plymouth, right? And I was like, yeah, 100% without a doubt, I chose Plymouth. So I think it's important for our board members to realize that teachers may work for the school district, yes, but we work for a school. We choose the school we work for a reason. And that brings me to my next comment, which is, so we've decided to change the wording from forced transfers to overcapacity transfers. But if you close these schools, they are going to be forced transfers, not only for the students, but for the staff. And that's not fair. If you're going to move me to a school where I'm unhappy, guess what? I'm gonna leave. And I'm not making a threat, I'm just making a statement. If you put somebody in a position where they're not happy, why should they stay? I am a teacher because I love what I do. Everybody knows teachers don't teach for money. We teach because we love what we do. And if we can't be in a position and teach what we want and give our all to our kids, then why do it? Another thing I want to say is, what happens if we close these schools and RSP's data or their predictions is incorrect and our enrollment goes up? Then you guys are gonna, if the board decides to close these schools and sell them off, tear them down, whatever, then are you gonna come to us and to the community and ask for a bond to build new schools? Well, guess what? In the last 9 years since we purchased our house, we have done minimal upgrades to it, and the valuation of our house has gone up over $100,000. Every one of you in here that is a homeowner knows what that has done to your property taxes. There are people who cannot stay in their homes now because of the property taxes. So do you think we're gonna vote for a bond that's gonna raise our property taxes even more? Not gonna happen. And then just the last thing that I wanted to say is, and I'm going to piggyback on what has already been said, and I say this to the board members, I kind of want to challenge you a little bit that I know since I have worked at Plymouth, the board has approved for repairs and different things to happen at our school. And since I have been there, in 4 years since I have been there, I have not seen a single one of those changes that has been approved to be done. So I challenge the board members to find out why are they approved, why are we even having them approve it if it's not going to be done in the first place? Anyway, thank you for your time.
Kayla Cruz, number 34.
Hi, I'm Kayla, and I'm speaking as a parent because my son goes to a smaller school, and I feel like they need smaller schools. Like my son has ADHD, he has an IEP, the smaller school helps him. It's not only that, I've been to Gertrude Walker. My son goes to Gertrude Walker. Gertrude Walker is our family school. So for him to make it a family and a second home for himself and feel safe, it means a lot as a parent. That my son feels safe with the people that he's with and that he's comfortable and I can leave him there. So I feel like they shouldn't shut down smaller schools. They should keep them open just for the kids that need smaller schools and need that more one-on-one time for everything. But I'm second speaking in public, you guys, so I'm gonna stop.
Sarah Janetti, this is the last one, number 31.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah. My kids go to Gertrude Walker. Let's see, my son, he went to Alta Brown, okay? He was struggling there. And then he went to Gertrude Walker. And he turned around. He did great. He's doing great. He's thriving. Yeah, we have hiccups, but he's doing good. My daughter Zelly went to a different school before she went to Gertrude Walker. And she was a mess. And then when she went to Gertrude Walker, she shined. So please reconsider not shutting down Gertrude Walker, because Gertrude Walker has done an amazing thing for my kids and a lot of other kids. Please.
Anybody else? Thank you for your time. Anybody? John, Weesey, anything? Good. Mr. Tone, how about Rob? Anybody? RSD? Guyman? Mr. Guyman, you got anything? All right. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for your commitment to your families, to the community, and we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So y'all have a good evening.